I found my new favorite book and new favorite character of 2026. Buckle up because I have a lot to say about The Road to Tender Hearts. Before I jump into the book review, if you're new here, my name is Allison and I do things that are all comfy and cozy. But most of all, I love to talk about books. So if that sounds interesting to you, please take a look at my channel and like and subscribe. Now, jumping into The Road to Tender Hearts by Annie Hartnett. This is dark comedy at its finest, and the one sentence recap on the back of the book really nails it. It says, a darkly comic novel about an old man on a cross-country mission to reunite with his high school crush, bringing together his adult daughter, 2 orphaned kids, and a cat who can predict death. And we'll get into that cat, Pancakes, later. But first of all, I want to talk about our main character, PJ Halliday. I have to say that PJ Halliday is the most lovable train wreck I've ever met. This man is 63 years old and has been divorced for many years now, but is still best friends with his ex-wife and his best friend who are about to get married. They all live in Pondville, Massachusetts, which is a small town, and they live just 10 houses away from one another. PJ is an alcoholic, although he's trying his best to get sober now, but it's not uncommon for him to be 18 beers deep by evening time. And he is a hoarder, he has a very messy house, and he was not necessarily the best father and husband. One of the most interesting things about PJ is that he won $1.5 million a few years ago on scratch-off tickets. So everyone assumes he's rich. Well, is he really still rich? You'll have to find out later. In this book, PJ Halliday suddenly has 2 new missions in life. First of all, he discovered that his high school crush, Michelle Cobb, is newly single after her husband of 40 years has passed away. So he wants to drive his car cross country to go see her at the Tender Hearts retirement community. So not only is this book making reference to the retirement community, but also PJ certainly has a tender heart, which we see throughout the entire book. But PJ's other main mission is suddenly he has 2 kids who are 10 and 9 years old dropped into his lap. Well, he doesn't watch the news or read anything in the newspaper because he has such a tender heart. But 2 weeks after these 2 children, Ollie and Luna, are tragically orphaned, he finds out that the mother has asked in her will for him to take care of the kids, be their new guardian. So not only does he go on this road trip to Arizona to the Tender Hearts retirement community to find Michelle Cobb, love of his life, but he brings along 2 new kids that he has acquired, plus his adult daughter, Sophie, who is a character all in herself. And then finally, joining the road trip is a new cat that has been following PJ around, and that cat's name is Pancakes. Well, Pancakes can predict death and most recently has lived at a local nursing home in Pondville, Massachusetts, but he got kicked out because he kept snuggling up to the residents who were next going to die at that nursing home. So that made people a little nervous. So he's been roaming around town and eventually he found a good home with PJ. So now I want to mention that each of these characters has had tragedy in their lives between death and divorce and just strange situations. But this book, despite all the darkness, is so fun. I have not had so much fun reading a book in years. And it is, like I said, dark comedy at its finest. And there's little snips throughout the book of people dying, and this cat Pancakes will just have human thoughts in its head. It never talks to the humans, but you hear Pancakes' thoughts about, no, you're not gonna make it. One of my favorite Pancakes moment was when the cat spotted a man in a yellow rain jacket next to the sign at Niagara Falls that said, please don't jump. And the cat was thinking internally, he will. And then as the family drove away in their station wagon, Pancakes had his little paws up on the back window and it said, that Pancakes was watching as the windbreaker went over the top of Niagara Falls. So you know that's another death in the book. Again, a random person, but this book is quirky and that's just how we roll. Now I'm starting to ramble, but this book is all about rambling in the best way, and I just want to read you one example passage and show you how lovable this book is. So the whole group is at a motel overnight. I don't know what state they're in. They're traveling all over the place to get to Arizona. But Sophie, the 26-year-old daughter of PJ Halliday, is snuggled up with one kid on each side of her, crammed into a single bed at this motel. And this is what Sophie has to say. They all settled into the pillows and both children threw their limbs around Sophie. And soon there was an elbow in her face and a foot stuck to her leg, hot, stinky breath on her neck. And Sophie felt so uncomfortable and sweaty and smothered and oxygen deprived, and it was something close to torture to try to fall asleep that way. And yet, oh man, it was weirdly wonderful. So this book is just amazing in writing the weirdest stuff. You have the most chaotic situations. They get into trouble left and right on this road trip, but there's joy, there's laughter, there's bonding, and it's such a group of unlikely characters thrust together in this book, and they make it work. Reading this book was so much fun, but it's just like your parents sneaking in vegetables into your pasta dinner. There are so many life lessons woven into this book, and I loved it. It's about starting over again, even when you're 63 years old, finding second chances, letting your past go, and also talking to the people you love, having the tough conversations even when you don't want to. So while I was laughing out loud during this whole road trip, there were so many true tender moments, and it is such a feel-good book. Now, I'm known to read a lot of romance novels and a lot of general fiction and at times some thrillers. And this is not my normal read. This truly is a dark comedy, but what a palate cleanser between my normal romance and general fiction books. If you want to step out and try something new, absolutely pick up this book, The Road to Tender Hearts, again by Annie Hartnett. And she does have a couple other books listed on the back of the book, so check those out as well. I will definitely be reading more by Annie Hartnett. It should come as no surprise when I opened this video saying this is my new favorite book of 2026, that my final rating for The Road to Tender Hearts is 5 stars. Easy 5 stars. Run and go get this book. Make it your next read. Well, I hope you enjoyed this book review, and make sure to check out my channel for all of my other book reviews. Stay cozy, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye!